So just before my slide comes up, let me ask, how many of you have heard Pareto principle before? How many of you have heard about the Pareto principle? Okay, I can see quite a few hands. So today we'll be talking about leveraging the Pareto principle for productivity. Leveraging the Pareto principle for productivity. Everyone, can you please help me read that loudly? Some people are reading, some people are not. Please help me now. Everybody want to go. So from what you can see on the screen, you'll notice that there's a pie chart and it's divided into two. There's a smaller part of it that is, and don't worry, I'll try as much as possible. Everybody is going to learn from it, regardless of where you are, regardless of your phase in life. Everybody is going to learn from it. Whether you're an employee, you're a business owner, or you're just a business person, you own your personal business, you run a store, you run a shop, one way or the other, even if you're a student, everybody will learn from one thing or the other. Now, the idea of the Pareto principle is that even from this image, you will see effort and you'll see results. And this is to tell you that most times, when many of us are working, we put efforts into so many things. We do a number of things, and all those things that we keep doing, we don't seem to check which one of our efforts is giving us the most results. Sometimes it's very easy for you to check because it will just be obvious. In some other cases, it won't be obvious. You have to personally or intentionally check your efforts and see which one of your efforts gives you more results. So whether as an employee or as a business owner, whatever it is that you do, we're going to be looking at how to pay attention to the efforts that give you more results. And that's what we're paying attention to tonight. So please go to my introduction. The first thing you need to note is that most people work hard but achieve limited results. And the reason most people work hard but achieve limited results is that over time, when you begin to do things, you're not looking out for the area of your efforts where you are supposed to be getting more results, or where it's down later. But for the purpose of introduction, let me just keep it that way. In fact, if you look at this image that is on the screen, it shows you that 20% of the ice is above the water, and 80% of the ice is where? Beneath the water. Now, this is an iceberg, and if you've heard about the iceberg principle, maybe in another session, I can teach about the iceberg as well. But you see, this is something that helps you see that your efforts in some cases do not have to be visible to everyone. The most important thing is that those efforts are getting you results. And if those efforts are getting you results, be content with not proving to everybody that what you're doing is working. Are you with me? Now, I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. There are some cases where the things you're doing stop working. And the reason what you're doing has stopped working is not because that thing is no longer good, but it's because you're in a hurry to announce to everyone what you're doing. And the moment you're in a hurry to announce to everyone what you're doing, all of a sudden, after the announcement, you notice that what you have announced, which was working before, has all of a sudden stopped working. So if you look at it if you look at the Pareto principle from the angle of the iceberg, it means be content with only 20% of your effort showing and more than 80% of your efforts being beneath the water. I'll give you a quick example. Maybe this one will sink. How many of you have had that one friend when you were in secondary school that looks very playful, very lousy, always all over the place, looks unserious, looks like he never reads, never studies, but when exam is over, he's always scoring higher than every other person? Who had that kind of friend? It's because you all assumed that just the way you were playing, that friend is also playing. It's because you all assumed that when you go to bed, he also goes to bed. You don't realize that he knows where he goes to go and study. He knows where he gets the job done after everybody has gone to bed. But whenever you are playing, he will come around and play with every other person. He understands. He may not call it Pareto principle. He may not call it the iceberg principle. But he's doing something that every other person is not seeing, that is getting him the result that every other person is seeing. So be comfortable with people not seeing your result. Then productivity is not about doing more, but about doing what matters most. Some people just like to be busy. Some people want to be seen as busy. Some people will do anything that keeps them busy, even though your name is not busy. They just want to be busy from morning to night. What have you been doing? I've been busy. What have you been doing? I've been really busy. What are you doing? What exactly has kept you busy? Have you been busy being productive, or you've just been busy wasting time? Because what a number of people are doing is being busy wasting time, or being busy going nowhere. There are people who are busy going nowhere. You look at what they do from morning till night, they do it again the following day, they do it again the third day. It's not generating any result. It's not getting them any income. And they will keep doing it so long as it makes them look busy. So they are busy going nowhere. Then the Pareto principle helps identify high impact activity. Everybody say high impact activities. Meaning that what are those things that you are doing that are actually getting you the needed results? There are so many things you are doing today. Let me give you an example of a Pareto principle by numbers. Let's say you do 10 things in a day. And of the 10 things that you did in one day, or let's even take today as an example, list 10 things that you did today. Of the 10 things that you did today, which one is likely going to get you results? Then you look at least 2 out of those 10 that will give you results. Then focus your efforts more on those 2. That's what Pareto principle is simply saying. It does not mean that the remaining 8 should be discarded completely. It simply means that in one breath, you may want to pay more attention to what gets you the results. And in another breath, those other 8, ask somebody else to do them for you, if they are not giving you more of the results that you want to see. Next slide. So what is Pareto principle? It's also called the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. That's what the Pareto principle simply implies. 80% of your efforts come from 20% of your input. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. In other words, where you are today, your life today, your business today, your market today, everything that you have achieved today, the Pareto principle is saying that everything was achieved by not more than 20% of the things that you did. Let's even say that you are selling rice, you are selling beans, you are selling, what else? Spaghetti. You are also selling Indomie. You are also selling what else? Gari and everything. If you look at everything that you are selling, after a while, if you observe very well, you will notice that it's most likely maybe gari and rice that are selling the most. All those other things, they just filled your shop. Now, somebody else wants to supply you something. You say there is no space. Why is there no space? There is beans, there is spaghetti, there is Indomie, which will sometimes expire in your shop because a lot of people are not buying it. But the gari and the the gari and the rice that you sell the most, you don't have more space for them. And that's also because you have not paid attention to the fact that this is what people are buying the most. Go and check your income. Go and check your profit. Check what you are selling all the time. You realize that that's what people are buying the most. Whether, even as a business owner, if you are doing a certain business, whatever it is that you're doing, go and look at where the money is coming from. Or go and look at all the businesses that you're doing. You realize that, let's say you're doing 10 businesses. The principle is simply saying, out of the 10 businesses that you're doing, most likely only 2 give you all the money that you are getting, or give you more than 80% of the money that you're getting. So it's from those 2 businesses that you are taking money to sustain or to maintain the others. If you're not careful, you'll just be servicing those other businesses. Somebody else too starts a shop, maybe from one location, and before he knows it, he thinks, okay, this shop is growing, everything is doing well, why don't I go to another location? Then he opens a shop in another location, believing that it's going to do well. Then he opens in another location. Next thing, he has like 6 shops. And after having 6 shops, he now realizes that of the 6 shops, maybe just 1 is the one making all the money. The others are just helping him to keep up with his reputation or with his brand. But he's actually taking money from one place to go and maintain all the other ones. Those other ones, you've run it, you put money there, you send money to them. They don't ever bring back money. If they bring back money today, they will collect money for the next 4 weeks. Then week 7, they will make money. After making money in week 7, then the next 2-3 weeks again, they are going to collect money from you. So you need to really ask yourself, are they actually giving you money or taking a lot of money away from you? And in those weeks when they are not making money for you, you are paying somebody to stay there. You are servicing the place. You are paying for electricity. You are running generators to keep them running, to keep the lights on. So you realize that in everything that you're doing, most likely just 20% produces all our results. So this was discovered by an economist called Vilfredo Pareto. So they took his last name, that's how we call it, Pareto principle. And it simply says 20% of your effort produces 80% of your results. That's why you're seeing this image on the screen. So the next slide. What is the core idea? What we're trying to say is that not everything matters equally. Not everything matters equally. There are some things that seem to matter, but they don't matter. There are some things that appear to count, but eventually they don't count. We're also saying focus is the key to productivity. For you to even identify the 20% of effort, you have to be someone who pays attention. You have to be somebody who is very observant. Or you may need to be somebody somebody who values data, and you pay attention to data from everything that you're buying, everything that you're doing, everything you're selling, or even as an employee, your activity in the office. Are you paying attention to your activity in the office? So focus is the key to productivity. Then what we're also trying to pass across to you, which is more important, is eliminate low impact activities. Eliminate low impact activities. If you are running 7 shops and only 2 shops are bringing you money, what's the smart thing to do? What's the smart thing to do? Close 5 that are not making money. There's no point trying to prove a point to them to show people I'm a big man. I have like 20 shops around here. It doesn't make sense because you keep running. You keep spending money. One of the best things that some people did around the COVID era was that they noticed something. People realized that they were just wasting money going to the offices. Because some businesses realized they could work from home without needing anybody. And they were getting results. I know a gentleman who had an office. All his staff would come into the office. And guess what? Immediately he realized that during the COVID, they worked efficiently without requiring anybody to be physically present. He shut down the office after COVID. Until date, he has not gone back to the office. Because he says it's a waste of money. So I've been wasting money. I pay rent for the office. After paying rent for the office, he will buy water. He will buy food. He will do so many things. They will buy fuel for generator. They will pay service charge. They will do so many things. And when staff are in the office, just to look like Mr. Nice Boss, he will buy food for everybody. And they were doing that on a daily basis until COVID. Then he realized that COVID came. And they were all working efficiently. They didn't even feel it like they were all in different parts of the country. So since the COVID ended, he said, we are not returning to this office. He shut down the office. And he said, after shutting down the office, I've saved a lot of money. So today, he's not under any pressure to pay office rent. He's not under any pressure to pay salaries. He's not under any pressure to look for money to, do TGIF. There are quite a number of companies that are still doing TGIF and all of that. You may think he's stingy, but look, he looked at what he was spending. He could simply transfer the money on office rent into paying salaries. And that made a lot of sense for him. So that's one of the things. Eliminate low impact activities. The next one, the productivity truth. Busy does not equal productive. Everybody say that with me. Busy does not equal productive. The fact that you are busy does not mean you are productive. I'm sure by now you know the fact that you are busy does not mean you are productive. If you have worked from the beginning of the month to the end of the month and there is nothing to show for it, you may have been busy but not productive. You've gone from morning till night. After coming back at night, there's still nothing to show for it. Busy but not productive. Activity is not equal to result. So the emphasis or the focus tonight is to get you to re-engineer the things that you're working on to look at everything that you're doing and ask yourself, this one, is it wasting my time or producing results? Look at another one. Is this one wasting my time or producing results? Look at everything that you're doing. Is this one wasting my time or producing results? Anything that is not producing results is clearly wasting your time. There are some of them that you have to completely eliminate, and there are some of them that you have to hand over to somebody else. So impact is what matters. So you want to ask yourself, on the job that you're doing today, how many activities are you doing that eventually translates to impact? How many activities are you involved in that translate to impact? So Pareto in everyday life, on the next slide. Pareto in everyday life. 20% of clothes worn, 20% of clothes worn, 80% of the time. If, in fact, there are some, especially ladies, when you go back home tonight, just go and test what we are saying right now. Go and check your wardrobe. Some people are already laughing. Just go and check your wardrobe. You know that there are some clothes that you have not worn even in the last 1 year. There are some people, 1 year is even minimal for some people. There are some clothes you have not worn in the last 2 to 3 years, and they are still there taking up space in your wardrobe. Facts for some people. Some of you have shoes that you have not worn in more than 6 months. I hope there's nobody here who has a car they haven't driven in the last 2 years. Provided the car is not on mortar and pestle. 20% of contacts bring 80% of opportunities. 20% of contacts bring 80% of opportunities. God forbid that you are in trouble. If you are ever in trouble and you need to make phone calls, you need to reach out to people, that's when you know that there is a difference between phone number and contacts. Because many of you, what you have on your phone is a what? Phone number. But when you have contact, if you are ever in trouble, one phone call and they will call one person and the problem is gone. I remember one gentleman who said that it was after he left. He said it was when he graduated. No, I think he was about to go for NYC. He said it was when I was about to go for NYC. Now I know say my papa don't know anybody. He said the old man scrolling phone tire. Meaning he was just scrolling through the phone. And you know, you may scroll through 3,000 contacts on the phone. 3,000 phone numbers on the phone. But if he has contacts, what will he do? He say, I know somebody in NYC. Just make a phone call and he gets whatever he wants, or at least they can advise on whatever he's looking for advice for. So if you cannot call people, you need to do a business, you need to get into a particular place, you have nobody you can call. All you have is phone number. There's no contacts. Please, let me ask your neighbor, do you have phone number or do you have contacts? So 20% of contacts bring 80% of opportunities. And how do you know whether you have phone number or you have contact? Ask yourself, when there are opportunities, who brings opportunities to you? Do you have friends that call you for opportunities? Do you have friends or do you have people, do you have family members that refer you for opportunities? Do you have people that when something is happening in places that matter, they can always bring you into the room? If you have such people, then you have contacts. But if you don't have such people, then you need to up your game as far as networking is concerned, getting into what I call professional clusters, like, professional associations, professional organizations, depending on what you do. Then 20% of habits shape 80% of outcomes. Most of what you do today, the results, the life that you have today, is shaped by 20% of your habits. You notice that there are some people, they are succeeding. And once they are succeeding, go and look at their lives. Go and look at their discipline. Go and look at how serious or dedicated they are. And you can tell that the reason this person is succeeding is because of how dedicated this person is. Or it's because of how disciplined this person is. There are some people too who can get the same result. As a matter of fact, some people say that if talent does not work hard work will beat talent. If talent does not work hard, what will happen? Hard work will beat talent. So you can be more skilled compared to somebody else. But that person, if that person is more dedicated, more disciplined, what do you think will happen to that person? That person will get better results. In the football, I'm not a football fan, but once in a while I like to make references to it. That's why Ronaldo is still playing today at the age of, is it 41 or 42? At least over 40. That's why Ronaldo is still playing today. Discipline and hard work. There are people that I believe in football who are more skillful than Ronaldo. When it comes to messing with the ball, when it comes to playing on the ball, when it comes to passing, dribbling, and all of that, there are people who do it better than Ronaldo. But he is still very much in the game today because of hard work and discipline. So, it's one thing to be able to play ball. It's another thing to be disciplined enough to stay in shape and play it. Then bring it back to your life. Bring it back to what you do. It's one thing to know how to make hats. It's another thing to be disciplined enough to make enough hats that people want to buy. It's one thing to be skillful enough to make shirts, to make whatever it is that people buy. It's another thing to be disciplined enough to do it as you should. So why this matters, the next slide, why this matters. It helps reduce wasted efforts. It helps you to reduce what? There are so many people who are running all over the place. There's this proverb, and I think there's something about it. I'm trying to remember, but I haven't been able to remember. It has to do with somebody chasing. I think they say something in Yoruba, something like "eni lekumeji." We'll do what? Whoever is chasing two rats will eventually lose both of them, whether it's regular rat or bush rat. But the bottom line is, the idea of not chasing two rats is that both rats will be fast. So you saw this rat, you started chasing this one. You saw another bush rat here, you started chasing that one. Eventually, you will not catch any one of them. So once you want to catch a bush rat, what do? Focus on one. Catch that one. If you catch that one and secure it, you can then go after the second one, if the second one is still available. But is it not better that you catch one and lose one than to lose both of them? But the way many people are operating today is that they will eventually lose both of them because they are chasing the two together. They say we are multitasking. They say, we are gogo niche. But as they are telling you that we can do everything, I do any business, I do all businesses, at the end of the day, they've not been able to stand out in any single business. Then number two, it improves decision making. If you know how to use the Pareto principle very well, it improves decision making. Because now you're making a decision based on what is going to work. You are making your decision based on what produces results. You are asking yourself, what have I done in the past that produces results? What have I done in the past that gives me more peace? What have I done in the past that got me to where I am today? When you focus more on those ones, you will get more results. So it helps you to make better decisions. Then it increases the speed of success. It increases the speed of success. How does it increase the speed of success? When you focus on the fewer things that are getting you results, you notice that before you know it, you will carve a niche. You will become successful in that area. And when you become successful in that area, you will rise faster than every other person. Can I tell you one of the things that is killing us in this part of the world? One of the things killing us in this part of the world is, take for example, in the UK, in the US, and some other European countries, you notice that if a child shows interest in football, maybe at the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or less, what do you think they will do to that child? What would they do? They will enroll the child into a football academy. That's what they do straight. Same thing for basketball and all other kinds of sport. They will not focus too much on the academic side of things. They'll get that child enrolled in all those sporting academies. And the reason they are doing that is because the child can learn what he's passionate about and still learn a bit of academics that he needs to succeed in life. But in Nigeria, at least up until a few years ago, if all you want to play is football, what will your parents do to you? They will beat the living daylight out of you. Up until, I think recently now, people have now started changing. That is now that people don't want to beat you. In fact, in those days, somebody said when we were growing up, they chased us back inside and beat us for playing football. They asked us to go and do what? Go and do your own work. But today now, somebody said it's like parents are chasing people away from homework. They say go and play football. Why? Because they see how much football can pay. We see young people that have a skill, and we tell them, go and read your book. Everybody is reading. Go and study. See, so, and so. Does he have two heads? He has gone to this, he has gone to university. He wrote jam once. He did that one. But you see somebody whose skill is in hair making. That you should quickly help that person and help the person polish it up. Don't let the person waste his time. This person is already passionate about making hair. You are still insisting the person must go to a university. He will now go through university 4 years, waste the 4 years. While wasting the 4 years in the university, the person has dropped the skill for hair making, does not know how to make hair again, has now come back from the university, does not have any skill again. And I've only used that as an example. It applies to several other things. So when Pareto principle increases our skill, then application overview, go on to the next slide. Skip this, please. Go to the next slide. All right. Skip this. Go to the next slide. So for employees, 20% of tasks produce 80% of performance reviews. So if you want to do better, wherever you're working, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, what are the things that I do on a daily basis? What are the things that I am required to do in a month? Look at all the activities and ask yourself, which of these activities produce the most results for me? In fact, as I was preparing this, something came to my mind. I want to ask you to, when you identify those skills, or when you identify those activities that you're expected to be involved in on a daily basis in your place of work as an employee. Now, of all those activities, identify which one is the 20% and improve your skills so much so that nobody in your office can beat you on that. Do you understand what I just said? If you're supposed to be doing 10 things in the office, look for 2 or 3 of those 10 things that you will unarguably be the best at them. That anytime they want to mention somebody's name in that office and outside of that office who can do that thing, nobody will argue. They say, if it's this one, give it to this person. The moment you identify either 2 or 3 of those things that you can be so good at that nobody in your office can beat you, you become indispensable to that office. Or at least more valuable to that office. Then 20% skills drive career growth. 20% of skills drive career growth. How many of you have been working for more than 10 years? Can I see a show of hands? You've been working for more than 10 years. All right. So those who have been working for more than 10 years, let me ask you, is it still your certificate that gets you promotion? It will be your soft skills, your communication skills, your leadership skills, your emotional intelligence skills. So you want to make sure that in addition to your certifications, go and look for one skill or the other that will put you ahead of every other person. And usually, it's not certificate, especially when you have been on the job for more than 10 years. There must be a skill that keeps you on the job. In these days, AI will make a lot of difference. So you definitely want to know how to use AI. Not just being able to use the platform, but understand what is called prompt engineering. How many of you understand what is called prompt engineering? Go and study how prompt engineering is done effectively. One of these days we'll have a session on AI by God's grace because Pastor has been talking about it. Because you can use AI, I can use AI. It's prompt engineering that will determine the results that both of us will have. So everybody in your office can say they are using AI, but you will use the same AI and get better results than all of them. So you want to look for that skill that is relevant to your office and make sure you identify 20% of the skills and develop yourself so much on the skill and nobody will be able to beat you. Then, 20% of clients or customers require most attention. I'm sure everybody agrees with this, right? 20% of clients or customers require most attention. There are some customers that you are fighting with, you will talk to from morning till night, you will shout, you will do everything. After doing all the work, how much do they want to pay? 5,000 naira. But there are some customers, they'll just ask you, how much is it? 50,000 naira. Send me your account. Pam. No arguments. So you check the business that you are even doing, you realize that the customers that pay the most don't shout. The ones that will not pay are the ones that will stress you the most. So automatically, what does that tell you? Identify the customers that don't stress you and focus on the customers that don't stress you. I'll give you an example of how I used the Pareto principle for my own life. First of all, when it comes to anchoring events. When I started out some years ago, as far back as 2007, 2008, I would anchor any and every event. You have an event, you have a wedding, you have this, you have that. I will accept every invitation. I got to a point, I said, this is not working. Because I realized that corporate events were doing better. Corporate events don't require that I spend much time from morning till night. Those ones, 2 hours, 3 hours, they will pay times 2, times 3, sometimes times 5 of what a wedding and those other ones will pay. And guess what? When I go for a wedding, they are not expecting somebody who is an MC. They are expecting you to be a clown. When you said you were looking for an MC, I said I'm an MC. Now you engaged me to be your MC. I go to the wedding, you now expect me to start behaving like a clown. Did I tell you I was a clown? And I've been to some weddings before. Guess what? The people that would disturb the MC the most, they are not the couple. Uncles of aunties and that. In fact, some of them, if you trace their connection to the couple, you will not easily trace their connection to the couple. So at some point, I just said, no, this is stressing me. Weddings were stressing me. Social events were stressing me. In fact, there was a time I even took MC for a burial. I'm not kidding. They said they wanted to do an event. They needed an MC for a burial. I took it. But after a while, I said, this is not working. So I focused on corporate events. And guess what? When I go for corporate events, they are the ones that will be telling me, sir, we don't need you to crack jokes. Just do the thing, pam, 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 pam. At the end of the day, my pam enters my account. No stress. Again, when it comes to training, speaking, and all of that, I also decided, look, it looks like all of these ones are not working. Now, let me also tell you one thing. By the time you are making some of these decisions, that this one is not working, I want to focus on this one, I want to streamline my effort, it's going to be a tough decision. It's going to be a tough one because it means that you will turn down some people at some point. It means that you will lose some businesses. But when you stay, you see, those same people are the ones that will be advertising and say, Shola na big boy. Oh. If you want to call Shola, you must have big money. Are they not improving your brand? So they know that when they are coming to Shola, you don't come with small. So it's important to pay attention, streamline. Don't do everything. Don't be available for everybody. Some of you, the reason you are not making money yet is because you are available for everybody. And those who actually need you cannot access you. You are available for everybody. And those who need you cannot access you. I know a guy in Mowe Bafo. This guy is an auto electrician. The people will call rewire. This guy, there is nothing on earth that you will say to him. He will not leave his shop. He will tell you, you want me, you come to me. A rewire. He will tell you, you want me, you come to me. And guess what? Guess what his strategy was? He knows that if he leaves his shop, he will lose money because of the people that are coming. And because he's the one that is in high demand, he will get a lot of customers compared to how much he will get just coming to attend to you alone. So he'll tell you, no matter what, whatever it is, you come to me. And guess what? People are going to him. So he has set his brand, he has set his standard. Next one, workplace example. I've given this example for the first one. 2 to 3 key responsibilities drive performance score. Like I said earlier, just look at everything that you're doing. If you have 10 responsibilities, you have 15 responsibilities, except if your KPI demands that you must perform on all of them. But if it's just a random KPI and say these are all the things that you're supposed to be doing, some of you know that you cannot do all those things. Just look for 3 and perform excellently well on those 3. 3 that nobody will be able to deny that you are the best in this area. Then not every task affects your promotion. I'm sure you know by now, right? Not every task affects your promotion. I helped my colleague to do this. I helped my colleague to do that. I was the one that helped everybody in the office. When they were employing you, did they ask you to come and be the minister for help? So you spend all your time helping every other person, but you did not do your own core assignment. And that's going to work against you. Because the same people that you are helping on the day of promotion or when it comes to reviewing your performance, they are the ones that will speak against you. They say, you helped me, did what? Was it something that you just did under 2 minutes and you didn't do anything again for me? They will just leave you alone. Then identify high-value tasks. Identify them early. high value tasks. Identify them early and make sure that you focus on those ones. All those high value tasks, because if you keep focusing on daily activities that don't produce any result, somebody else is doing something that the boss is paying attention to, and that's exactly what will bring more money to them. So it's important to pay attention to those ones. And next one, employee mistake. Focus on urgent but low value task. That's one major mistake that employees make. The task appears urgent. It's like somebody is almost dying, but at the end of the day, you realize that it doesn't add any value to the organization. So sometimes people then over-checking emails. You spend too much time on emails, you're constantly spending time, and more importantly, over-attending unnecessary meetings. Oh, let's have a meeting on this, let's have a meeting on that. There are too many meetings that people are attending, and at the end of the day, you ask, what is the result? What is the essence of those meetings? Nothing comes out of them. When you go for the next meeting, if you listen carefully, you realize that everything you discussed in the last meeting, what will happen again? You discuss them again. Have another meeting in 1 month's time. Everything you discussed 1 month ago, what will happen again? You discuss them again. And that happens in many offices. In fact, I've been seeing some jokes on TikTok these days. There's this lady who is in the US. You say, I just came to USO from Nigeria, and this corporate America, they want to scatter my head. They were using big grammar and using words like, we'll circle back, we need to understand the pinpoint and all the touch points. You say, so is this how you people are in this place? Is that how you used to do? You say, okay, don't worry. She now also came and started speaking all her big grammar. He said, one of them asked me one question. I didn't understand the question. The person just used all those big grammar, touch point, circle back, revert, and stuff. He said, I just started with my own and gave her big grammar today. When I gave her big grammar, she didn't understand what I said. So she said, oh, fantastic. He said, if it's grammar, you think you can win in Nigeria. Next slide, employee strategy. Okay, I think I can skip I'll talk a bit about this because it looks like something I've said already. Identify top performing tasks. What are the top performing tasks in your office? Identify them. Ask, what drives my appraisal? This is a valid question that you should pay attention. What drives my appraisal? You already know what drives your appraisal if you have been appraised before. What exactly is my superior looking out for? Then pay attention to that. Focus your energy there. Next slide. Go on to the next one. Let me skip this. I've talked about it before, that when you're been in a particular place for a while, nobody is looking at your certificate to promote you anymore. Communication skills, emotional intelligence, your leadership skills, your relational skills, ability to bond with a team. That's what people are now looking for. So pay attention to that. So Pareto for business owners. 20% of customers bring 80% of revenue. 20% of customers bring 80% of revenue. How many business owners agree with this? Or you've done some form of business? So if you see that it's 20% of customers that bring 80% of your revenue, what should you do about those 20% customers? Focus on them. Pay more attention to them. You can create some form of extra value for those customers to be able to service those customers. Look at all the customers. Let me give an example. At least I have an idea in this regard. If you're a fashion designer and you ever want to grow, you have to say no to some people. Because you realize that if you're in the fashion space, the people that waste your time the most are those who cannot pay. The people that waste your time the most are people who cannot do what? People who cannot pay. They will waste your time. You do clothes. Everything will be fine. Everything will be set. It's when everything is set, that's when they will now be finding fault because they don't have money to pay. Again, if you are looking at a particular spot, I know of some people that whenever they want to site, maybe they want to open a shop, they don't open shops or stores anywhere. The first thing they will ask themselves is, where is a regular footpath for what I am about to sell? Or where is the busiest part of the road? They will always look for strategic places, busy roads, busy access roads. And that's where they will go and site their stores or shops, because they know that if the place is busy, they will not have to stress themselves looking for customers. Then 20% of products. The first one is 20% of customers. Now 20% of products bring 80% of profits. Look at everything you are selling, just in case you are selling something. Look at everything you are selling. If you are selling different products, you realize that it's just 20% of all the things that you are selling that will give you more money. In my own case, I looked at all the things that I'm doing, and in all honesty, it is speaking that brings me more money. So I spend more time speaking and training, because it's speaking and training that brings me more money. So all the other ones, except when it is absolutely needed. There's another one that fetches me money once in a while. It just, there's a spike and stuff like that. But I won't spend too much time on it, because it doesn't bring money consistently compared to speaking and training. So look for that product that you have that fetches you more money. Then 20% of marketing brings 80% of leads. When we're talking about marketing now, go and check how you are marketing yourself, marketing your efforts, marketing your results. Because we're saying, be online, be on social media and stuff like that, does not mean that you should be everywhere. Some people already understand maybe, for example, how LinkedIn works. And they know that LinkedIn is what works for them. They stay on LinkedIn. Especially if all you're looking for is to be a career person. You can't be dancing on TikTok and hoping to be a career person. Because when you go on LinkedIn to now want to get a job, they will go and check your TikTok and use it to disqualify you. Somebody lost a job because of the kind of picture that was on her LinkedIn profile. There was nothing bad with the picture, but the picture was just too casual for a LinkedIn profile. And she had gone through the interview phases. She passed excellently well. When they now checked her LinkedIn profile, the picture on her LinkedIn profile appeared too casual as far as the organization was concerned. That's when we say, we'll get back to you. We're reviewing things. We're working on it. The only thing that got her off the job was the picture on her LinkedIn profile. That's why some of you today that are doing anyhow on social media, I hope they are not here. But if you're one of them, you better go and retrace your steps and delete as many irresponsible things as you can, if for whatever reason you have anything like that on your social media accounts. Because organizations today, up until embassies, will check your social media for whatever you have been posting over the years. So you better go and check it. So product insights. Best-selling products drive majority of profits. Low-performing products, they drain resources. There's no point using low-performing products, meaning that products that people don't buy all the time. Take, for example, now, if you have money to start akara joints at the junction there, before you know it, you won't have to stress. So long as it's hot, between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., people will buy it. Have you noticed that at a major bus stop, if you put suya there, all of a sudden the thing will start selling? One of the things those guys have identified, somebody was even saying, he said, why is it that people don't sell suya during the day? Why is it that it's mostly at night that they sell suya? He said they've never seen, at least in southwest Nigeria, he said, I've never seen anybody selling suya on the road during the day. It's always at night. How will you see the smoke? How will you see that it's smoking hot? How will you know that something is going on there? So focus on winners. Next one, let me skip marketing insights. I've talked a bit about it. Business strategy, double down on what works. Double down on whatever is working, double down on it. Eliminate what does not work. Then scale high impact areas. If you see 3 things that are working, spend more time on those ones. Next one, please. I've also talked about this. 20% of clients produce 80% of your income. So it's important to focus on them. Don't lose major clients just because you are trying to attend to people who are not going to pay. Has it ever happened to any one of you before? That you spend time paying attention to a particular client that ended up paying peanuts, only to realize that the one you lost while paying attention to them was the one that was going to pay more money. So make sure, that in a way happened to me, but it was just that it's not a case of products and services like that. Then relationship management becomes critical. Know who to build relationship with. Have you gone to a shop before and maybe the shop owner is just chatting away with another person and you are standing there, you want to buy a lot of things, you're not buying things of 1,000 naira. Let's say you want to buy something worth 50,000 naira. And that person hardly sells anything worth 50,000 naira. But you go to the shop, he's just chatting away with a friend. And then they're just attending to you shabbily. All of a sudden, you just got angry and you walked away. Have you seen cases like that before? They are more interested in the gossip of their village, if the person came from their village, or is one friend that they have not. They are more interested in the gossip. And how do you know that this customer is going to buy things worth 100,000 that you hardly get in a day? So there are people like that. So let's talk about your personal life a bit. Pareto in personal life, I'm trying to rush now. 20% of habits determine 80% of your success. Let me give you an example of 20% of habits that can determine 80% of your success. Number one is time management. If you're a good time manager, it will impact positively on all the things that you do. If you're a very disciplined person, it will impact positively on all the things that you do. So even if you don't take away anything from the issue of time management, from the issue of Pareto principle, the way it affects your personal life, number one, time management, number two, discipline. If you can get the timing right and you can get the discipline right, forget it, you'll go far in life. I don't remember if I shared it here, but there was a case of somebody who lost a job. This was an office where I worked. Somebody lost a job for coming late for an interview. And guess what? She was only a few minutes late for an interview. And she was few minutes late for the interview, not because she wanted to be late, but because she got to the office, the vicinity of the office, and could not locate the building. So she was driving around for a few minutes. That's why she became late. Not that she actually came so late that we could not accommodate her. As soon as she got into our office, my boss then said, "Sorry, the interview has been conducted." And I went to her later. I said, "Ma, is it true the interview has been conducted?" She said, "No." "Do you have another person?" I said, "Yes." "Call the person, tell the person to meet me here before 2 p.m. I called my friend. I said, "Please, there's an interview. This is why somebody else lost the job. You had better be here before 2 p.m. Thankfully, she came in before 2 p.m. and she got the job. How did the first person lose the job? Time management. How are we going to know that the second person who got the job is better? We will never know. But just because somebody came on time, that other person got the job. So you may be better. Then I'll give you another example. In the same office, 2 people came for an interview. They were equally good. Then the people who were conducting the interview said, "How are we going to decide who gets the job?" They now went to the receptionist and asked the receptionist, "Which one of these 2 people greeted you before they came for the interview?" And the lady said, "Oh, there was this other one. She was really chatting with me." "Oh, that one? Right, okay." That was how she got the job. Because the 2 of them that were outside, they performed excellently well. So now they needed something to break the tie. They now went back to the receptionist and said, "Which one of them greeted you?" So those of you that don't greet people, just put your face up like this. You better start greeting. You better start greeting people. All right, other areas, go to other areas. You can use Pareto principle for marketing strategy. You can use it for relationship circle or dating. Don't be dating everybody. You know what I mean, baby? Don't be dating everybody. Some of you have dated everybody. We don't even know what you are doing again. Don't be dating everybody. You can use Pareto principle to choose who to date. Does this guy look serious? Is he responsible? What has he even done with his own life? Does he look like somebody who is going somewhere to happen? It may not look like his future today. Does he even look like anybody that has anything called future? You can access before you accept. Then, finances. You can use the Pareto principle in your finances. Let me ask you a question. How many of you finish spending money and you start wondering, how did the money go? Almost everybody, right? How many of you at the end of the month, you say you are going to do something when your salary comes, but money comes at the end of the month, you finish spending the money, you now remember that thing you wanted to do? Several people, right? Engage the Pareto principle. Before you spend the money. In fact, here's how to engage the Pareto principle. List everything you have been spending money on. This is where I'm going to get many of you now. List everything you have been spending money on. Just take a look at your last salary. List everything you spent money on. Ask yourself, how many of these things are improving my life? Do it for January, do it for February, do it for March. Everything you have been spending money on, ask yourself, what percentage of these things I'm spending my money on improves my life? And then some of you realize that the only thing that you spend money on is bone straight. For some of you is phone. For some of you is data. There are some people is data. Then the next one, time spent with people. I won't talk too much on that again. The time that you are spending with people who don't add value to your life, please reduce it. Remember last month, we talked about the people who are addition to your life, right? We talked about those who are subtraction to your life. Do you remember? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We said some people are adders, they add to your life. Some people are subtractors, they subtract from your life. Some people are dividers. They don't take it gradually. They do what? Oh my, your betini. Then there are some people, they are what? Multipliers. So use the principle, use the Pareto principle to ask yourself, who are the people in my circle, my inner circle, who add value to me? Spend more time with people who add value to you. Okay? And you can do that for your spiritual growth again. Let me go on to this next one. Focus on, please skip this, go on to the next, skip this, go on to the next slide. I'm actually, okay, go on to the conclusion so that I can just stop there. Success is not about doing more, like I said earlier. It's definitely not about doing more. It is about doing the right things. When you keep focusing on doing more, all that happens is that you just keep spending time doing a lot of things and you're not achieving results. Then mastering the rule multiplies your productivity. If you master the 80-20 rule, it multiplies. Today, at least an example of what I've given you is go and look at all the things that you spend money on. If you can look at all the things that you spend money on and identify the ones that are not productive and change them, you realize that you can improve your productivity. Then focus creates results, not efforts. It is focus that creates results and not efforts. Thank you and God bless you. Can I take one question? Let me take just one question. Unfortunately, that's what we can take. Just one question, and that's it for today. Have you been blessed? Can I take one question, anyone? At least you now understand what Pareto principle is, right? Is there no question? If there's no question, I can go, right? If it's my guys that are asking questions, God help me.
Thank you very much, Pastor Fola. The Lord renew your strength in Jesus' name. Okay, so what I want to bring to the front burner is that before you discover that 20%, I believe much work would have gone into it. I'd like you to reconcile it so that the mentality that one would have is not just shortcut or the easy way out. Thank you.
Okay, if I understand your question very well, is that at least you've been doing something before you get to that point where you are able to identify which one is the 20% of effort that gets you 80% of result. I gave you an example earlier that I was anchoring every kind of event. You remember that, right? And I said I was even anchoring even burials. But I realized that when I now do corporate events, they paid more. Apart from the fact that they paid more, it was less stressful. They didn't trouble me too much. So I said to myself, instead of doing all these other events, and some of them, in fact, there's somebody who did wedding, used limousine to take the bridal train into the wedding reception, brought Kwam 1 to the wedding. The person is still owing me my balance till date. I'm not kidding. Used a limo to do the wedding, brought Kwam 1 to the wedding, and they're still owing me my balance as an MC. So I just decided that I'm not going to do that again. Now, corporate organizations are not going to do that. Number one, because they have a name at stake. Do you understand? So what did I do? I focused on, that's why anybody calls me for any event today, if it's not corporate, I really don't. It's not that I will say no outrightly, but I focus more on corporate events. That's an example. And then even in the speaking world today, I prefer to just do more of corporate gigs. It's less stressful. It doesn't come with any wahala. And then you meet more people, you meet more professionals, you meet more of your colleagues. So that's an example. That's not to say that don't do anything until you have the 20%. I guess that's where Pastor is going to. I'm not saying don't do anything. When you are starting out, you will do everything. When you are starting out, you do what? Everything. But as you grow, if you really want to grow, you now begin to identify the things that you can no longer do, things that you have outgrown, that this one is no longer at my level. Let me begin to identify. Somebody gave me an example, and let me wrap up with this. This person said, if, for example, you're a printer, and all you keep running after is somebody who wants to print business card. He said you will never get the big jobs in printing if all you are running after is business card. And go and check it. Everybody collecting contracts. If you keep running after small contracts, the big contracts, you will never get them. So you should grow out of that phase where it is everything that you are doing. Bobo Nishe never becomes a billionaire. You can then become a billionaire and begin to do everything again. Why? Because you have the money to do everything. But in order to grow to the top, you streamline. Do you understand? God bless you.